the very last call of the Womb Shaman course, which technically this is an extra call, which is us going through the review process. And you girls were asking me about doing a group call and continuing this process so that we could go deeper because 8 weeks is not enough. And I think you girls have realized that there's a lot to this. So we want to go, everybody wants to go a little bit slower through the process. So I'm going to do what I can and I create a little process for you that I'll share at the end. I will also open it up for any questions along the way in the reviews. This isn't going to be just me talking through going through the review of what happened for the last 8 weeks. I'm going to be asking you girls, if anything, what happened in the last 8 weeks and what was week one about. And if anybody has any questions on it or feel like, I don't remember what that week was about, I'm going to have my little slide up and I'm going to show you girls the document that I put together for you girls. You can just control F and search anything you want in there. And I want to make it easy for you girls. So because we're going to be doing the group call program, hopefully this document that has been created, which Cassandra, I don't think you've seen yet. So I'm just going to get it up for you. Oopsie, hold on. Mm, mm. This is what it looks like. It's a Google Doc. It's a very big Google Doc. It's 131 pages. It's the size of a book. Yes. So this is all of the 8 weeks put together with the little table of contents over here. And there's also a table of contents here. Yes. And everything. The goal is for you girls to be able to look up irregular periods. Is this working? Control F. Yes. Irregular periods and see where it is. My client has an irregular period, they have painful cramps, they have fibroids, cancer. What can I do about it? See if you can find anything here that will be able to support them. And at the same time, I am allowing you girls to have commentings. So you girls will be able to comment on here and be able to put anything that you have of, hey, I found out about this. Can you add some notes on this? We'll have the chat so we can all work together on this document and continue to
Wow.
add data into it. Okay. So
Wow, wow, wow.
thank you. So this is the plan for the 12-month program to continuously go through this together in a slow process. And at the same time, I want to also, if you girls have any womb clients, because that's the goal, right? Your womb shamans for yourself and possibly for others. So if you have any clients that they're going through something, this is going to be a safe space for you to ask questions. How can I help them more? And then we can continuously together as womb shamans work on all this stuff together for your clients. So it's going to be extremely strong for all of us. Okay. That's the plan. Yes. Okay.
Love that.
Gosh. Cassandra, today's the day if you want to unmute yourself, unless you have dogs or anything like that, please
Nope.
unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Trish, I know you
love this. This is awesome.
Thank you. Yay. I'm happy to hear that. So, what I'm going to go, this is week one. And before we get to the actual data, I'm going to do this here. You can kind of see and remember what it was about. And what do you girls remember? Anybody want to try to do a little summary of the week?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go because I remember when I first started doing this, it was just before my daughter gave birth. And I couldn't believe, I've done extensive healing. I've got lots and lots and lots and lots of buckets of trauma from the past. You don't get into AA rooms without that. But I was so amazed just in the first week how little I knew about my womb, how little I had communicated with my yoni. Yes, but there was such a vast difference going from the communication between yoni, which I've done for years, to bringing it up into the womb, and that right there with each other. But they were holding on to so many different things that started coming up for me, and it was so profound. And it was just our first week. I was like, what?
That's awesome. I know that you've been in the marriage market and so on and so forth, and now you're Mrs. Baker. So have you done any womb client stuff, or where did you stop? Out of curiosity.
So I stopped coming to the meetings as the stress of the wedding was coming up. And I had stopped when it came to the point of asking my womb all of the questions, going through communicating with my womb and allowing the healing to happen. We had gone through the class where we were letting the healing happen through the guided visuals, guided imagery that we did, and we let all the healing come up. And that was where I had left off. It was like 3 weeks before the wedding. And it was very, very powerful. I felt so much come up. It actually changed the way that my periods came up. So I've only had two periods. I was on it, and then I had one more recently, but they were less painful. They didn't last the 7 or 8 days. They were into the 4 or 5 day area. And now it's only been 2, but hey,
yes,
whatever it is, it was profound.
That's amazing. Very happy to hear that. Yeah. So it sounds like I remember you being here for this. So, and this wasn't even, the next one was us clearing out people, which for you, I felt was going to be quite strong, but you didn't get to that one yet. So that's okay.
I have a history of prostitution and rape. So that's going to take years, I'm sure.
So yeah, well, and then you have no idea how quite interesting it is and how much you can release in one of these sessions. Well, you did get an idea with this one, and it's the similar process. So we'll go into it when we get into week 6 officially for that process and what everybody else is going through. But I wanted to just know, because you missed 4 weeks technically. Okay, cool. So week 1 was definitely the womb dialogue practice, which I also had everybody do. Cassandra, have you watched any of the replays?
I have not, no.
Okay, cool. Andrea, hi, nice to see you. Claudia, hi. Regina, hi, nice to see you. At some point, hopefully you guys turn on your camera. Today is not just me, but all of us coming in and remembering what we've been learning and what you already knew. Okay, so the womb dialogue practice, I'm officially going to go to week 1 here. So you girls remember the womb sanctuary practice. Everybody in here had the chance to do it, correct? Yes. At least once. And then you girls practice. Have you girls practiced on your own?
Yeah, yes? I've been doing it every week. Yep.
Cool. Andrea? Yeah. Cool. And then Regina and Claudia, I'm going to wait until you girls get on video. This was a simple practice. Do you remember what the definition of womb is? What do you think the definition of womb is?
The womb is not a place to store fear and pain. The womb is to create and give birth to life.
Woo! That's the right of the womb, which we also did in week 1. So thank you for that. Yeah. So here's the definition of a womb: a place where something is generated or brought into existence. So think about the different practices that we've gone through, where we healed our goals, our dreams, our people, our everything that has happened within us, within our families, within our ancestry, all the different things that we've been working on. A place where something is generated or brought into existence, all the emotions that have been released throughout this, all the shaking, the vibrating, the way that we've healed some of our periods, our womb space. We've been able to help our family with having womb bowls and with them having hysterectomies and it coming into us. So things were brought into existence, left there for most of us, right? And then that's where the heavy periods and the 6 to 7 days of bleeding come in. And now it's less because our womb has more space and it's releasing faster, right? Now, do you girls remember what the black hole and the womb had to do with each other?
They're both creators, right?
Trish, anything? Andrea, anything? Andrea, you gotta have something for me.
I'm multitasking at work, so.
Well, then you say
but the womb. I mean, the black space. That's what all, like somebody had said. I didn't catch who, but creation comes out of that.
Well, what creation?
All of creation.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. So you guys remember that the black hole is what pretty much is the Big Bang at the end of the day. It was the black hole. And the black hole, technically, if you look at ancestry, they would call it the egg. So there's the cosmic egg, which is the same thing as the black hole, and it was also named cosmic womb throughout history. So cosmic womb, cosmic egg, black hole are all the same thing. And pretty much, if one of the practices that we did, it was a meditation that we did at some point near the end of the weeks, where we had our womb space, and I ended up, maybe it was just one of you that I did this with, but you guys definitely experienced this. In one of our womb spaces, there's always, in our womb spaces in general, there is a portal that you can find to enter the black hole. Okay, now this is like super spiritual woo-woo stuff here, but here we go. Because now this is the end of the week, this is the end of the program. So think of going through your chakras, right? Our second chakra, our beautiful womb chakra, can connect to the seventh and above chakra. It's like there's a gateway. And I have mentioned that there's a highway between the womb and the heart, right? There's even the womb and the throat on how they connect. If you guys remember the practice that we did, the hearse, right? We did that practice, and being able to open our jaws opens up our cervix at the same time. And doing that practice, mwah, mwah, right? So we have another highway, particularly we call it the gateway, that connects us to the black hole space, to that creator space, to that spiritual seventh, eighth dimensional version. Okay, so definitely some yummy stuff there. Now you can start seeing how week one and past weeks are starting to come together a little bit. So I would say you girls officially have womb consciousness, which is, again, look at how much the womb has to do with the divine feminine and how it heals each other. The more that we learn about the womb, the more divine feminine we feel, the more that our periods start to heal, the more that our health starts to come together, the more that we start healing our relationship with our mothers and other women. So you girls were seeing how the divine feminine and womb consciousness really play a role together. And this is Mystery School teachings at its finest. Right? And then we talked about different things. So one of the things that I'd like to do in the group coaching program that we're putting together, and the group circle that we will be doing for the next, whoever knows, 10 years, we'll see how long until we all are like, okay, I think we're good. If it ever comes to that, then what I want to do is go through books. And I have resources. I even have a book list at the end of this. So we're going to go through the book list, and I want to read books together, because it's different from hearing it from me, which you know me for X, Y, and Z reason, but it's different reading it in a book where there's research proven and all this stuff. And yes, I plan on making a book on all this, but in the future, and I don't want to drive myself insane with saying a certain date. So along that process, I want to read other people's, and I want you girls to know where I got some of my data from. Oh, she's not a crazy person. It's in this book, and it has this book. It talks about how it's in this, and this book, right? And so some of those books that you're going to see, Bhagavad Gita as an example. Anybody know what that means? The song of the womb of creation. Anybody knew what it was before? It literally has the word in the Bhagavad Gita, which is an extremely powerful book that is passed. Have you ever been given a book when you're in a mall, as an example? If you give them $1, they'll give you a book, or they'll give you a flower, and if you take the flower, they'll give you the book. You ever had this experience? That book is the Bhagavad Gita that they give on average. So that's a really cool put together. All right, so you know all of these different ones: Egyptian, Jewish, Hebrew, all of them mention how the womb comes together. The number one surgery, it's already up here. Out of curiosity, anybody here have a C-section? Oh my God, look at us healing the world. C-section is the number one most common surgery, but none of us here have had one. So, no, I was born by a C-section. So that in itself is a whole other factor. Anybody else born from a C-section? No? Trish? Andrea? Wow, you girls are so lucky. You have no idea So some of my husband is a personal trainer and a health nut and all these different things. Now I'm a health nut too, for that matter. And we've been learning how C-sections, when someone isn't born through the vagina, they end up missing all of this beautiful juice that is created and birthed with them. And when we're in a C-section, it's not, a lot of us are born in a random time. Like the doctor has decided that we're going to come out on this date and this time, and we're scheduled into an appointment, like I was, as an example. So it's different to be astrologically. I mean, it's still astrologically created, I guess, but still, my mom didn't want to push at the time that my C-section was there. So I ended up missing out on all this amazing bacteria that helps my immunity when someone is C-section. And the placenta, whenever it decides, oh my gosh, it's time to give birth, the placenta pushes a last bit of nutrients to the baby. Like, here, take it, just take it. And all that nutrients is there to help them with their immunity, with their health, with their nervous system, all of it. And I didn't get that. Right. So it's interesting to see how different things can play if you were vaginally birthed or C-sections. And C-section being the #1 common surgery in the US is quite frankly a little scary. And especially when the second one is a hysterectomy. The C-section is us opening up the womb, cutting her open, and then a hysterectomy is taking her out completely. So two of the most common, this is why we're doing this work. Okay, energetically, I already kind of said it. Which chakra is the womb connected to?
Second chakra.
Yes. And what does the second chakra have to do with?
Creativity, emotions, regulating our hormones, inspiration, creation.
Perfect. I don't even have to go through that. You did great. Yes, perfect. So, and it is the seat of the divine feminine. So once again, coming into our womb, the center of the reproductive center for females, also comes in with the divine feminine, energetic and spiritual side of us. And as well as the creative side, the energetic side, all of the birthing side of us is also the playful and the sensual and the sexual part of us. So that's always fun. We did talk about if you had underactive or overactive. So this is a great thing to do with your clients as well, to check in and see where do they feel they are, because they know if they're creative or not. They know if they're lacking or if they're way too creative, if they're extremely talkative or if they don't talk enough, or if they're extremely emotional or they're not emotional enough. They can get in a good idea of if they have an underactive, an overactive, or even a balanced womb. And even if they have a balanced womb, same thing. I'm writing a book, or I recently finished a book and I'm working on the editing process of the book, where we're talking about the different levels of having a relationship, and how after we got married, there was a whole new level of a relationship. But then we got into soulmate relationship, which I consider is like a higher level of spirituality. And same thing here. Even though you have a balanced womb, there's a whole other level of having a balanced womb, a whole other spiral to it, and more than one. So this is just the beginning to get your clients to look at, or even yourselves to look at and say, where am I on here? We talked about what it holds. So who remembers what the womb holds? Regina left again. I wonder what happened.
I'm trying to think what it doesn't hold.
You would be correct.
Oh.
You would be correct. So trauma, wounds, our families, our friends, especially our lovers, our past lives, our ancestries, energy from anybody that we've passed by, crazy stuff. So being able to notice on how much it's holding. Anybody remember the womb bowl practice where we tip it over? Mm-hmm. And that is a great practice to be able to stop holding that unconsciously, and being able to consciously decide on how much you're willing to hold right now. And one of the things that we did not do is deciding, I guess we technically did do it with the different cord cuttings that we did. We also added cords that we wanted to keep into our womb space. So always you can decide for yourself on who you wish to keep in your womb space. It's called the womb mandala practice, where you decide who's in my womb space. I don't want this stranger that I saw on the street. I don't want this ex to be in here anymore. I want to hold space for my lover. I want to hold space for the lover that I don't even know, maybe for a future child, for a future friend, whatever that looks like, and keeping that space there so that it's not covered up by somebody else in the past, and us constantly being in the past, but either being in the complete present, or if there's something in particular that you want from the future that you feel is calling your heart / womb. So how do these show up in your life? Trish, you've been working a lot. Have you, I don't know if you've had any womb clients since you came here, but when you were back in your other state in Washington, and you were helping people with the womb work, did you see any of these things, or did you hear any of them talk about things like this?
Definitely stress, depression, numbness, disassociation. Just a disconnect in general, I would say, because a lot of it, they don't even really know what they don't know. Right.
Beautiful. Cool. Did you see a change in them afterwards?
Oh, huge. Massive appetite change, lighter, massive shifts, new jobs, releasing of old jobs, bringing in new jobs. Yes, huge.
Beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So you girls have seen it. Now you've officially seen the work. And in yourselves, right? How many of you came in when you did your womb dialogue practice yourself and you found that you have some blockages, or you had specific people that you hadn't released yet, or you felt an imbalance or disconnection somewhere? How do you feel now? The last class, the class before this one, we did do a check-in. Anyone that was there, we did a check-in on how do we feel in the beginning? How do we feel now? But I wanted to check in with everybody here today. Have you noticed a change in yourself? I know Cassandra mentioned some. I know there's
huge for me. The relationships with male energy now is completely different. I'm owning my own, and I being drawn to them in a different energy, a different light. It's not sexual. It's more trusting. It's more. I'm more in flow. It's been magical. This has been the most amazing, helping me guide along the way with this journey of releasing the stuff. It's been huge. So thank you.
Thanks, Trish. Okay, cool. Do you girls officially know what a womb healing is? I think you girls officially know what it is. Okay, cool. I'm happy to hear that. All right, I'm going to skip along because I realize I spent a lot of time on this one. We did talk about horrors in general, which I found this beautiful book that talks about the horrors in history and how they have changed our worlds, and what horrors were in 100 centuries from now, as an example. 40,000 years ago to 100,000 years ago to 10,000 years ago to 5,000 years ago to now. And it's so interesting to see the progress of that. Once upon a time, horrors were sacred and they were a part of channeling the goddess. And now they're just seen on the street and so on and so forth. So it's beautiful to watch. Mary Magdalene, we talked a lot about her. Here's the red of the womb. The womb is not a place to store fear and pain. The womb is to create and give birth to life. The womb Kegel practice. Has anyone practiced this since? Checking in with their womb, doing a Kegel to hold in energy or to release it and push it out. Beautiful little practice to do whenever you're doing the womb bowl practice, the inner womb bowl practice, and tilting it over. You can release your Kegel and let it out with that. And then when you're ready to cut the cord with Mother Earth, you can do a Kegel in, and as if you were using your own yoni space as a cord cutter. Here's that beautiful womb dialogue practice of yours. Week 2 was about getting to know your womb. So do you girls remember the different fun facts? Do you remember any of the fun facts about the womb that we went through?
I don't remember any fun facts, but this is one of my favorite practices.
Oh yeah, cool. Well, we did talk a lot about the yoni here, but we also did the womb anatomy practice. And then we did the vulva viewing, and we did the womb voice practice, where we practiced the which has the word om in it, which is the word of creation. So very interesting. That was funny. What was that? Was that the dog or something?
She hears something outside. She's about to go protect us.
That's so cute. That was cute because I did the whoa, and then she went wow. That was cute.
She heard you.
We'll go through some of the quick facts. So the womb is the strongest muscle in the body by weight. The womb is also the most flexible thing in our bodies, in any body. The menstrual blood from the womb is used as stem cells and is actually known as the strongest stem cell. The womb is orgasmic, so a percentage of the orgasm that we have is actually our womb shaking, which is pretty cool. There is such thing as orgasmic birth. Makes sense because the womb is orgasmic. The womb is connected to the universe. This one just makes sense at this point after everything we've gone through. The womb is the only organ that can grow another organ, the baby and the placenta. Every human is first born female. So everybody has an X chromosome to start, and then through time, a whole other thing. If you've one of the books that I would love to read with you girls is The Female Brain, and if a bonus point would be if you read The Male Brain, and it starts talking about oh, here it is. Look, this is why it's so important to me. The male brain actually has a what's it called? MIS. So I have the name of it, Mullerian inhibiting substance. This is only created in men, and it pretty much stops the growth of any female organs and creates the growth of men. And it's not that particularly that it stops it, it suppresses it and then kills it off. It's quite interesting to hear how the scientists use those specific words. Some wombs are shaped like a heart. I forgot how many it is, but it has a whole name on it and everything. And there are some women that are born with two wombs. Specifically, there was one woman that ended up having 2 births in 1 month, and she didn't even know that she had a second kid coming. She's like, "Why is this thing not going down?" And she's like, "My water broke again? How is that possible?" Like, oh snap! I did not set up the nursery. So I have that story here because it was pretty interesting to read. Some women are born with no wombs, which is quite interesting, or vaginas, which is quite interesting to think about because, I mean, they have what it looks like in the outside, but there's nothing on the inside. So I guess there's a certain portion of throughout the pregnancy stage where a womb and a vagina is created, and it didn't happen for them. It's very extremely rare. It's called MRKH, but it happens. And it says some women have tilted wombs, but actually a lot have tilted wombs these days. Tilted wombs can happen from giving birth, from car crashes, from anything that ends up hitting you quite hard. If you ever had a hip pain, it could also mean that you have a tilted womb. If you've ever worn high heels, it can cause tilted wombs. There's all kinds of things that can happen to cause a tilted womb. If you have a lot of pain on your period or anything like that, you can always check with a doctor to see if your womb is tilted, but most wombs are these days. Some wombs are so tilted that they're backwards. And you'll see that in your clients as well. They maybe a piece of them might know, depending on how much work you do with them, or if they ever go to a doctor, but a lot of them won't know that they have tilted wombs. They'll just be like, there's so much pain. Here, look, 1 out of 5 women, it tilts backwards, which is pretty crazy. And it can cause all kinds of issues, even back pain, menstruation pain, all of it. There are specific things that I have right here on how you can help your clients and yourself. Even if you don't know if you have a tilted womb, you could do these. It won't hurt you if you have if you have a regular womb, but if you have a tilted womb, it will support you as well. So why not give it a shot? And we did talk about how the first form of a calendar was an ancient menstrual calendar called the Lebombo bone. Anybody remember the Lebombo bone? Still one of my favorite facts in history. Here's a beautiful womb that we have, the uterus, the fallopian tubes, the ovary. Sister Kim ended up sending us an Instagram post that showed how the ovary gets sent through the fallopian tube, stays in here, and how all these different things are growing. The endometriosis is growing, and then it ends up bleeding, and it's such a beautiful thing. That was the best thing that we have found so far. I'll go through all of this. We also went through the womb breathing practice. It's a beautiful little practice. Here's Mother Mary as a vulva. Here is the vulva. My husband grabbed my phone yesterday and he went on Instagram because he wanted to check on some musical thing that we're going to Zen Awakening, and it's a beautiful music festival. And the first thing that popped up was a vulva on my Instagram. He was like, "Oh, this is not what I expected." I'm like, "It's my phone." What else did you expect? We had this whole thing. It was really funny. So it was hilarious. Just wanted to mention that. Okay, what else do we have here? Week 3 is when we go into the cycles. Does anybody remember the difference between infradian and circadian rhythm? Which one do we have? Which one do men have? What's the difference? All of you are muted.
I don't remember. Circadian is the one at night, and I thought we all have it. I don't remember.
We all have both.
Right. Okay.
But women have 75, we live 75% infradian and 25% circadian. At least that's what's healthy for us. Circadian is, and men are the opposite. So men are 75% circadian and 25% infradian. Okay, so you can see that boop, boop. So circadian is that 24-hour clock. We wake up, the sun is up, we go to sleep, the moon is down, right? And so there's this beautiful 24-hour clock that we live in. And this is what most of us are used to. We're supposed to be doing the exact same thing every single day, right? We go to work, we come home, we watch TV, we eat, we do the little thing, we eat 3 times a day. We have this whole thing of what we're supposed to do every single day, and we're supposed to be the same person every single day, right? The infradian rhythm is more like the moon cycles and the menstrual cycle. So it is a 28-day clock, or 28-day or so clock, I should say, depending on the person. And the infradian rhythm is different every day. There's a fluctuation in our brains, which let me go down a little bit so you can see this. So the infradian rhythm affects 6 different systems of the body. The brain changes an average of 25% throughout the month. Different time periods, fluctuates, goes up and down. Our metabolism can speed up and slow down. So I believe it's metabolism speeds up around ovulation. Nope. Metabolism speeds up, hold on. It's best to change the way you eat and work out to optimize metabolism. Nope, doesn't say it here. If I remember correctly, which we're gonna have to double check this in one of the future monthly calls that we have. Metabolism speeds up during the luteal and the menstrual cycle, because those are the times we don't really have to work out. Our bodies are already eating so much, that's why we get extra hungry during the luteal phase, during that waning moon phase, and our metabolism slows down, but we can speed it up with workouts, exercising, and eating healthy during the follicular and the ovulation phase. I remember correctly. Okay. Stress changes. If you've ever noticed right before you get your period, that PMS stage is our inner critic coming back. And that's when stress is the highest. Our nervous system is overstimulated at that time. Our immune system, it just happened to me this freaking month. My entire family around me got sick. The baby, my husband, everybody was sick. I'm the one running around during ovulation, day 14 to 18, 14 to 16, and supporting everybody. And then all of a sudden, day 20 comes along, nobody else is sick anymore. And then I start feeling sicky poo because my immunity dropped. And finally, it caught up to me. So it's so interesting to be able to see when our immunity starts to drop around. For me, it's, it drops.
I always thought that was like a thing that I became a mom at 17, so I didn't really know much different, but I always thought that was like a mom thing. Like everybody's allowed to get sick in the house. Mom cares for them and then we get sick. But this makes much more sense.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see. Yeah, thank you. Our microbiome changes. So I ended up putting here, most of our microbiome flourishes. Take it around your luteal. So most of our microbiome flourishes around the luteal phase. So that's the time, if you remember, the luteal phase is also the time period where we get a lot of cravings throughout the month. where it's really hard to stick to a diet. So that is totally okay and normal, and we should not drive ourselves crazy trying to allow that. If anything, allow a day or two during your luteal phase to cheat, and you don't have to cheat during your ovulation, your follicular, because you just don't want to really. So allow yourself to play around instead of doing it a weekly basis, the calendar that was recently created by a man. Instead, allow yourself to trust your body and do what feels right to you. Okay, so we talked about that. Okay, so we also talked about, hold on, before I do this, what are the 4 menstrual cycle phases? Who remembers?
You can put the cheat sheet back and I'll read it.
Okay,
Luteal, I can never remember.
Oh snap, it's on the side too. Okay, well, what about the moon cycle phases? The 4 moon cycle phases.
Waxing, waning, full, and new.
Yes, cool. What are the 4 feminine archetypes? We just talked about one, the mother. What else is there?
Maiden, crone, and
Oh, those, yeah. Mother, maiden.
Maiden, mother, and crone are 3. There's a 3rd one that is always forgotten because she is not liked by the patriarch.
the elders. What are they?
That's the crone.
That's crone, yeah.
What is Marlou's class in the Red Sign Goddess Academy called? The Enchantress program. There's the maiden, the mother, the enchantress, which could also be called the witch, and the crone. So each one of us have the beautiful enchantress. So think about the moon cycle phases. Maiden is connected to the waxing moon. And you girls don't know the menstrual cycles. So I'll just bring it up. Okay, but you girls do know the seasons. Okay, so here we go. The waxing moon is when it's coming towards the full moon, right? It's that spring season energy. Think about the blooming of flowers, animals having sex all over the place, like love and light and colors coming back to the earth. This is that maiden energy, that innocent energy. You guys remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And then for our menstrual cycle, it's called the follicular phase. It's the follicles. The follicles are coming out. I wish we had, my signal for some reason just keeps closing on me today on my computer. But you girls have that little thing that Kim put, and you could see the whole process of the 4. And there's videos at the end of this thing. There's resource sections at the end of these weeks, and there's a whole video on what is the follicular, the ovulation, the luteal, and the menstruation phase. Okay, and we'll go through it in the next few months all over again. But feel free to learn it beforehand, because I will ask you what the 4 menstrual cycle phases are again. It will happen. You will know it in 6 months' time. You will know it by the back of your hand. Okay. So ovulation phase, we know, because that's the time period that everybody's like, you can get pregnant, which is also the full moon time period. That's the energy that it's connected to. And it's kind of like that summer energy, that superwoman within you, or that mother energy, which is still superwoman. Mothers are superwomen, period. Right? There's that enchantress energy. The enchantress is often forgotten, and it's near like the fall season, kind of like the waning moon is practically forgotten. Ovulation, menstruation, they're the 2 most known. Full moon and new moon give me the high and the low, but forget about the roller coaster in between on either side. So the enchantress, the beautiful enchantress, is that witchy energy, that side of us that starts to connect to the spiritual side of us. And our brains, this is when we're in perimenopause, is that enchantress energy starts to come into play in our age. And then everything starts to shift. We need to start focusing on ourselves, because when we're not focusing on ourselves, that's when we start getting the hot flashes and the different behaviors. And then all of a sudden, during the enchantress phase, where the crone energy is officially, our feminine energy is starting to become a little bit more masculine. We're not creating as much estrogen. So our body starts to pretty much learn the opposite side. If you know about feminine masculine energy, we start having more masculine energy during our crone time period of our lives, while mother energy is the most feminine of them all, right? Maiden and mother. And then enchantress and crone is starting to bring in some more masculine energy into our lives. So the Enchantress is learning that flow of, now we're letting go of so much feminine energy and we're learning how to connect it to the masculine. And during these ages, we're also realizing that during the Enchantress energy phase, when women are in their perimenopause, they're trying to connect to the spiritual side. Think about how many women in Red Sign Goddess themselves are in their 40s. And so they're in this time period of, that's when people are trying to awaken the most to this kind of stuff now. So it's during the Enchantress phase where people are starting to connect to the energetic, spiritual side of themselves and starting to find themselves. You know what? Screw this man. I'm done with him. I want to become a new person, right? Screw this job. Screw the, like, even some of the moms themselves can change during the Enchantress phase. Like, do your own laundry. And they're like, but mom, you've always done my laundry. What happened? I'm taking care of myself from now on. Self-love starts to play into it. Okay. And then menstruation phase, which we all know quite well. Oh, look, here's another boo-boo. All right. So what are the 4 menstrual cycle phases? It's right in front of you. Who can do it?
Which one of them? Follicular phase, ovulation phase, luteal phase, and menstruation phase.
Yes, perfect. There you go. So look, everything can come back to 4 energy types. Easy peasy lemon squeezy for you girls. And if you're ever confused in what the fuck was the fucking follicular is again, if you have that moment,
That is a hard one to remember. I don't know why.
I know. For me, it's the luteal phase that I kept messing up with, but yeah, it's so funny. But you can remember the seasons. Winter, spring, summer, and fall. Okay, winter is connected to menstruation. Summer is connected to ovulation. So spring is follicular. You can do this whole thing. And if it helps you, you can remember FOLM, FOLM, where it's an order of spring to winter. FOLM. Okay. What's the stupid foam mean again? You can do the whole thing in your head. Okay. First, follicular first. Technically, I do luteal last, even though it's not last, but it helps me remember that it's the 3rd one. If that helps you at all, then there you go. All right. Here are the beautiful moon cycles. There is, so the reason I have this up, and you can see that there's 8 in here, even though there's 4 main menstrual cycle phases, 4 moon cycle phases, 4 menstrual cycle phases. If you think about the seasons, you can also think that the seasons are broken into equinoxes and solstices, and then that equals 8. Anybody notice that? The moon cycles can also be broken up into 8, and the menstrual cycle can also be broken up into 8, but we're not getting there yet. That's a whole other spiral. We'll get there in the next year. Okay, when we get to it, we'll get there. So just remember that. Here it is for Cassandra. This one's for you. So the follicular, the egg develops, the little egg on the ovary is like, oh, I'm gonna grow. And then during the ovulation phase, the endometrium starts to thicken. The luteal phase, the egg gets released and gets sent throughout the follicular phase into the womb. And then during the menstruation phase, it's like, shit, there's no sperm. And then I start to cry and release blood. Okay. Now, if there's pregnancy, there is no menstrual phase. You go from follicular ovulation to luteal, and then the luteal gets elongated, and then pregnancy begins, and it's a whole other dimension of stuff. Okay, whole other spiral. Okay, here's the 4 phases. Particularly, here's maiden, mother, enchantress. Some people call it sage over here. You can see follicular, ovulation, luteal, menstruation. Maiden connected with the virgin after bleeding. It's active energy. The mother is outgoing. It's expressive. It's conscious. It's outwards focused. The enchantress is slowly starting to become more focused inwards, and it's also increasing its subconscious awareness. This is a great time period. The luteal is a great time period to do womb work on yourself, right before you start to bleed, so that you release that energy and there isn't a lot of blood as much or as much pain because it's released beforehand. Okay, so think about those little things. There's also the Wild Woman books. I'm sure you girls have seen Wild Woman books because it's a really popular word right now in the book world, and it's a keyword that I totally plan on using for future books. And then there's that reflective energy where we can connect. This is the best time to connect to the black hole and go deep into your chakras and go to the top of your chakras and hang out. Okay, if you're balanced. We talked about how the menstrual cycle and our overall health is connected. I did go in research here. So if you remember what each one of them is about and you want to learn more, here is a whole cheat sheet for you girls on what happens for our energy, what's best for us in our lifestyle, how we should work on our business for the best version of ourselves throughout that phase. So if you're not a bleeder anymore, you can do the moon cycles. And if you're still bleeding, focus on your cycle yourself and tracking your cycle. We will that'll be like one of the first things we do in our group circle, where we're gonna do a whole tracking sheet together, and I'm gonna teach your girls how to track, and I'm gonna be asking you girls from then on what day you're on. Anybody know what day they're on? I'm on day 24.
I'm 6 days, 7 days before my period begins. So I'm on day 21, right? No.
Probably around there.
Yeah.
Are you 28 days exact?
Yeah, pretty much.
What is this thing that keeps popping up? Oh, interesting. I have never ever got notifications before. Okay. Yeah. So let's say 21 days for you. It's a great way to do. I have it on my calendar. I always write it down. I have a little remarkable that was gifted to me for my birthday. Every day before I make any to-do list, I write what day I'm on. It's right there in front of me. And I know automatically that I can go to this little cheat sheet and see, okay, what's happening with my body? What's happening with my hormones? What's the best exercises for me to do today? What's the best foods for me to eat? Everything. What's the best way to give myself love? What's the best way? Do I have sex in here? What's the best way to have sex with my husband? So everything is here for you. Okay. And then you get to also play with it, play with different versions of yourself and be able to not just be the same freaking girl all the time. There's a reason that girls are mysterious, because there's different versions of us. I tell my husband he's so lucky because I'm so aware of this. He gets to hang out with Brianna during the motherhood stage, during my ovulation stage. He gets to hang out with Layla during the maiden stage. He has different personas that he gets to use, like during sex. Like, thank you, Layla. Yeah. So he loves it. He gets to have different girls. It's not the same person all the time. I dress up differently. He knows what stage I'm on depending on how I'm dressing. I'm in my luteal phase, which means I am in shirt and pants. Don't ask me to dress up right now. Not in the freaking mood. All right, in a few weeks, I'll be in sweatpants. So he knows. And during my ovulation, I am wearing lingerie underneath my clothes, just waiting for him to take it off. All right, so he knows the process. Okay. So that's all here for you. Making peace with your period is very important. I also broke down the moon cycle phases for you. If you're feeling disconnected from the moon, whether you have a menstrual cycle or not, I gave you a whole little list of things that you can do if you're having insomnia, or if you're not being able to sleep well, having difficulties connecting to the moon or to your womb. These are different ways to connect, particularly to the moon, but connecting to the moon is connecting to what I call the moon womb or grandmother moon, which will still connect you to your womb at the end of the day. Feminine energy. This is a cheat sheet that I created for you girls that breaks down on if you ovulate with the full moon, what that means and what that month will be like for you. If you menstruate with the full moon, what that means and what that's like for you. If you ovulate with the moon, yeah. And if you menstruate with the new moon, yes, perfect. Pink moon is if you're bleeding during the waxing and ovulating during the waning moon, what that means for you for that month. There's different ways you can connect your menstrual cycle and your moon cycle, and even with your clients if you're not bleeding yourself, and being able to see, is this a month where they're supposed to, or you're going to see it automatically, whether they're aware of this or not. Even if you know when their bleeding day is, which is extremely important for you to know for your womb clients. I have it written down on my piece of paper for my one-on-one clients. Okay, she's on day blank. Hey, text me when you get your period. I ask them and I check in. When was your last womb healing with yourself? When did you do a yoni steam? When did you do a castor oil pack? I start asking them all the little tools. When was the last time you used your womb bowl? And checking in with them so that they have the healthiest period and the healthiest month. Okay, when they get their period, then I know, okay, if it's during, here's an easy one. The white moon, it's going to be normal month for them. They're going to be connecting quite well with the moon. And it's pretty much like your menstrual cycle and your moon are in sync with each other. So life is a little easier for them that month. Everything is kind of flowing along. Things might happen astrologically, but luckily you have the double energy to be able to handle it, and everything is enhanced during when your moon cycle and your menstrual cycle are connected. Then there's the red moon syncers, which I tend to be right now. I'm actually white moon syncing, which is a time period of kind of going through my process. Red moon syncing is for leaders, for those women that are meant to lead during those months. So if you've noticed that you're menstruating with the full moon and ovulating with the new moon, it's backwards. It's kind of like, well, it's the new moon, which is supposed to be your lowest energy. The full moon is your ovulation is your highest energy. So you're in this middle stage. Do you see that? Like one of it is high, one of you is a piece of you is low, and so you're kind of meeting in the middle. And this is the best time period for you to be leading things. If you have a course that you want to create, if you have a certain, maybe this is a time period to work on a certain project of yours, to write a book, to create something with your body, to be able to create a new project or generate something new, maybe even create a new version of yourself, support a friend or family member. This is the time to do it during the red moon syncers. Okay, and then there's other two. I'm not going to particularly go into them right now, but know that it's there. And they also connect, I have them specifically connected to a certain archetype that you might feel more often, depending on if you're bleeding or waxing with certain phases of the moon. All of it is perfect. I want to be clear. All of it is absolutely perfect. Whatever one you're syncing with is perfect. Okay, none of them are wrong. Food cycling. We went through this as well for seed cycling. Anybody remember what to eat, what seeds to have for each one of your moon/menstrual cycle phases? Flax and pumpkin during the first cycle, which is maiden and mother energy. So if you ever need to enhance maiden and mother energy, if you ever want to make your follicular and your ovulation stronger, if you want to have more energy during that time period, you have flax and pumpkin seeds. Okay, if you ever want to enhance your enchantress and your crone energy, that luteal and that menstruation phase, and enhancing is not particularly going deeper in it, but in a balanced, healthy way. So if you have sesame and sunflower seeds during your luteal phase, you might notice that you're not craving food as much, craving bad foods as much. So being able, and honestly, all of this, all four of them will be able to help you if you have them bi-weekly with each other. It will be able to help your hormones to balance out. Okay, there's a whole list here of vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, meats, and what to eat for them for each of the phases, which is broken down in menstrual cycle phases, but you can also do this with the moon cycle phases if you want to enhance that energy at any point. Here are broke down maiden, mother, enchantress, and crone. Now, if you actually think about it, the crone is the new moon energy, right? So you know the triple goddess symbol that we tend to see is the waxing, the full moon, and the waning energy. But there's no new moon energy. There's no new moon in the triple goddess symbol. Anybody notice that? So actually, it's technically the maiden, the mother, and the enchantress, and the crone energy is hidden. But things not particularly mentioned in the triple goddess symbols that everybody says it's maiden, mother, and crone energy. Are you seeing this? Interesting, right? The enchantress is forgotten, but she's still here. She was just replaced with the crone energy, which technically is the more enhanced version of the enchantress, because the enchantress is a flow. But it's just interesting because it's hard to put the new moon in a triple goddess symbol or in a symbol, right? Unless I guess it's a circle, but then people confuse it for the full moon, right? So there's this whole thing going on with it. But just notice that nobody puts the 4 menstrual cycle phases in the triple goddess. She's there. She's hidden. The new moon technically isn't there in the sky, right? She's hidden. So triple goddess is really quadruple goddess because she's hidden. Okay, just wanted to point that out there. I mentioned a few things like the word quack is actually an ancient word for healer in the time periods in here as well. So going back into that, I mentioned what the word goddess means within Red Tent Goddess. And it's really the qualities of being able to harness the 4 archetypes that we've been talking about: maiden, mother, enchantress, crone, knowing your 4 menstrual cycles, knowing your 4 moon cycle phases, knowing the seasons and connecting to all of them. That's the full infradian divine feminine energy goddess type archetype that we're talking about in Red Sign Goddess. And then when you can get all those, week 2 is going to be a big moment for us within our learning process. And we're going to be reading the code red, and we're going to be doing all the things, and we're going to be going deep into tracking. And then after that, we can get into rites of passages. And this is where that priestess energy comes in, which is another word for using that goddess energy and creating a way to be a channeler of the goddess. Here we go into seasonal phases. So I went into winter, spring, summer, and fall. And then I also went into astrological phases. Technically, astrological phases is under infradian rhythm because it's longer than 24 hours, right? It's hundreds of years, possibly, or Saturn return is every 30 years, as an example, right? And so I don't remember how long the Uranus one is or any of that, but it's there. So here we actually have the Mercury. It gets returned around age 7 to 14 for us. That has something. Our Venus comes back around age 14 to 21. That does something to us. Here's our Saturn return. So you can start to see all these different changes within us, and you could start to see how we start to grow up depending on where astrologically it re-meets with our birth chart. So if you have a child, you can see where they are, what age group they are. You can check their birth chart and see when is the Saturn going to be in the exact same position that it was on their birthday when they were born. And you could start, you're going to see a big shift when that happens. Cassandra, you recently have a new person in your family, a little new one. So you can check in with them and be like, okay, so their Mercury is here on their birth chart. So when it's back to that spot, when they're in blank age, then this or that can happen to them. And then you can check in and support them throughout that process and even guide them throughout it. So it's really cool. And it goes all the way up to age 84 here. So I don't think any of us are age 84 yet. So you can check in when maybe you're ready for another Saturn returning for the second time around. And then you can check in on what that might mean for you. And like, oh shit, there really has been a lot of changes throughout this time period. Oh, my Chiron is returning around 52 to 58. What does that mean? Oh, it shows us where our wounds are. Fuck, not excited about that. What do I have to teach and learn again? Here I go, right? So whole new processes of unlearning all over again. So you can check in with them. Sandra, I see you staring. I'll wait for you.
No, you're good. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I put in some frequently asked questions here about cyclical living and what it has to do. So like, what if I'm on birth control pills? What if I work, and how do I put that into my workforce? And I talked about all of that in here for you. These are the different 8 phases, just more stuff for you girls. Here's the resources. So if you want to learn about seed cycling, or if you want to learn about cyclical living, there's this cute little clock that you can put on your wall. I've always wanted to buy this, but not yet for me. But one of you girls can. At Cassandra, I can totally see your name all over this little clock. And it will you can put it with the 28 days, and it'll move every day automatically. And you can put it in your living room so everybody in your house knows what day of the cycle you're in. And it is the coolest
thing. I'll let myself live on try to live the cyclical living. Once I start RV living in January, I will be working much less. And so I can I'm going to let my menstrual cycles just decide exactly where I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that calendar or that clock, that's cool.
So cool. Yeah. So then there's so many things in here for you. If you just kind of one day just start going to these resources, and we probably will be doing that throughout the circle, but feel free to do it your own so that you can prepare yourself, and we might not go through all of it. It's pretty fun to go through all these resources. These are things I've been putting together for years now. Look at this. I have 39 resources for just this one week. So there's a lot. And if you want to learn about specific archetypes, you can just click on it, moon water, all of it. Okay. Week 4, supporting the womb. You girls remember about the different yoni steams, yoni eggs, womb salves, the mugworts, the crystals, the herbs, all of that stuff that I mentioned? I think I'm going to skip most of this week, but I explained how supporting the womb can decrease all of these symptoms, which are here and more. I talked about basic womb health awareness so that you can, if you have somebody that has never known their womb, this is where you'd want to start. Like if you have a new client and you're like, where do I start? The womb dialogue practice is a great beginner to do with them, and do it in front of them or be there with them, because I've had so many cry when they go through the womb dialogue practice, and just be there for them and help them release by asking them if you can connect their womb to your womb and being that helper to release that energy for them. And then you can also start going through some of these things. And for yourself, if you don't know where to start and you're like, how do I help my womb more, or how do I connect to her more? This is a great place to start right here. Basic womb practices, which some of these we've gone through and some of these we have not yet. Crystals, if you want to do a womb healing practice with yourself or with a client, these will help with certain energy points. So I'll let you go through that. If you have a client, for example, that says, I have difficulty with orgasming, like I haven't orgasmed in years, as an example, with my partner, and I want to, then you can get an orange carnelian for them when you're doing a womb healing and really help to release that energy, not just with your own womb, with their womb, but also with the crystal's help. Okay. I gave some examples of what you can do with those crystals. Gave some examples of what a plant priestess is and how a plant priestess has been so connected to womb work for thousands of years. And I talked about specific herbal actions. So, for example, emmenagogues stimulate and regulate menstrual flow and function. So if you notice that one of your clients has an irregular period, which I should probably put irregular periods in here so that you guys can look it up and search it later, but you can check in and get any of these herbs and figure out how to use them. Now you will need to check this out. You can always message me because I have a list of them. And at some point, I hope to write a book where all of this is in a book format for you girls, but future plans. All right. So you can check in here and see what is it that might support them, and then specific herbs that you can get for them as well, and for yourself. Here is explaining how our hypothalamus, our pituitary, the follicular and the luteal, and their uterus, the corpus luteum, so even our brain, FSH, LH, progesterone, all of it connects back to the uterus, and all of it, it's like these little nerve endings that come back. Here's what happens in our body every month with all of the different hormones that connect to our uterus. You can see its fluctuations throughout the month. This is the infradian rhythm in a beautiful thing. This is what happens every month. Here I start talking about some specific herbs that are known to really support the womb space, which some of them you girls have been playing with, but if you ever want to, we will definitely be going through some of these. There's that mugwort one that you girls have been talking about, and there was even Damiana on here, which I know that Kim recently got. Cute little poster. Things that you can do with these herbs. So yes, you probably think of teas, but there's herbal ices, there's herbal satchels, there's salves that you can make, tinctures, smudgings. I even have these herbal satchels and oils. I have an instructional manual for that, which is not in here, but I could totally, let me like put a little note here. Add instructions as a link. So this is what I want you girls to do, adding little comments to things, if anything, so that I can, or you girls can even add things in here to support. Yoni steaming, one of the months, I totally have plans on all of us sitting on a toilet all together with our yoni underneath the yoni steam, and all of us just being on a call on our phones, steaming with each other. Like, this is so weird, but fun. That is definitely one of my plans to do. I have instructions, ingredients, directions, bonuses on how you can do yoni steaming. That's extra yumminess. When not to do a yoni steam, which is extremely important. I have different yoni steaming herb kits. So you can get specific herbs, put them together, and about a teaspoon. Yes, Andrea.
I wanted to ask, did you have a link there for the yoni stone?
So you broke up there for a second, but I
I
have
think
links right
you,
here.
okay. Yes, thank you. I'm just, my friend and I, we were actually talking the other day, like, why are these things so expensive?
Yeah, I don't do a yoni steam, that wooden thing, because I mean, it's just way too, it really is expensive for what it is. But what I do is I use a stainless steel seat. It's pretty much like a sitz bath. What, you've ever heard of a sitz bath? I can go grab it for you real quickly. It's a big stainless steel bowl. And then I put it on the toilet seat and it fits perfectly on, like when you lift both toilet seats up, you place it in there, put some herbs in there, and I'll just grab a hot thing and shove it in the stainless steel, and it's a big thing of tea. That's pretty much what it is. And then when I'm done, I'll just put it into the toilet and flush it, and we're good to go. The stainless steel, I don't want to do it in the toilet with the water of the toilet. So I do it in a stainless steel, I clean it out, we're good to go. Much cheaper, and it's a seat, the toilet seat. So it helps. Yeah, there are some that are plastic. Don't do plastic. You don't want plastic laying up there or anything like that. There's some silicone ones. I don't even try stainless steel. Cool. So I think this is the link to the one I particularly use too. Here, wait, let's grab the link so that you can see it. Can you see the change?
Yeah.
So that's what it looks like. And then all I do is I just put this seat down. I put that seat down and then I sit. Very simple. Color. So dirty there. And you can add some crystals in there if they're not water soluble. I even put down like not only what herbs to do, but why you would use these certain herbs. So if you have a certain client or yourself, like maybe you wanted to increase your own libido, then you would use these ingredients. And so I have everything written down here for you. There might be some more blends that you find. Then again, please tell me and I'll add them in here. Send them to me on WhatsApp or Signal, or just add a comment and add it in here. Yoni eggs, butts, why, how, exercises, cleaning the eggs, removing the eggs, womb oil, which by the way, my beautiful mother-in-law created this little label for me so that I can ship it to anybody that wants them, because I have about 2 left at the moment. So if anybody wants a womb oil or even some womb salve, let me know and I can ship it to you. And you're super cutie Rudy. And this is what it is. It's mugwort, ginger, and olive oil. And you can, if you create a new womb oil, I wouldn't particularly use one of these 2 in it because it's been a few weeks and it's been there. But if you create a new womb oil, you can even use this in food. I've had it with roasted vegetables and it's so delicious and it helps your womb. So yum. So anybody know what a castor oil pack is? Anybody remember? Yeah. So in the Christian Northrup, I absolutely love her work. She talks about castor oil packs and castor oil in general. The castor oil pack is pretty much getting it's a specific thing that you put around your womb space and your stomach area, and you just fill it up with castor oil on it. It's kind of like a towel practically that you put over, and then you soak it up. You can make it hot too, the towel hot beforehand in the dryer, and then you soak it up into castor oils and you put it over you, and you can just read, watch TV, relax, and let the castor oil just seep into you. And you can also just put the castor oil on top and do a womb massage with castor oil. You can put some in your belly button every once in a while, and that'll be really supportive for you too. It has been extremely helpful to help with UTIs, PMS, monthly cramps, look at me, monthly cramps, cysts, all kinds of things. And it even helps reverse, I'm not even kidding, reverse endometriosis, heals lesions, heals scars, soothes pain. It's extremely helpful. Okay, don't do it while you're pregnant, but it does a lot for you, and it's really helpful. Here's essential oils for the womb. So of course, when you do any kind of, you can put these essential oils in one of those things that steams out into your room. You can put some on your hands even, and you can put it with some castor oil even, and then mix it in. So put some castor oil in your hand and put maybe 1 or 2 drops on, mix it in, and then you could do that. You can decide for yourself on how you'd like to do it. You can even add some of these into your yoni steaming kit. Make sure to check online to make sure that you want that up there. And then I would highly recommend doing a yoni steam yourself first with just herbs to see what that feels like. And then you can see what it feels like the oil. Now, if you're ever going to try something new, if you're like, let's see what Lang Lang feels like with the yoni steam, especially when you're putting something on your body or in your body, always be highly aware. Don't just like grab a magazine or turn on Netflix on your phone while you're sitting on the toilet. Always check in with yourself. How does this feel? Do I like this? Does this feel right? Okay. I really want to mention that. Then we talked about the importance. I ended up showing you that little thing and how the pituitary and the uterus is connected. Well, here's decalcifying your pineal glands so that your hormones can actually be sent down a lot more from the pituitary to your uterus. And decalcifying, if you don't know, also helps with spirituality and connecting to the divine more and opening up your chakras and all the different things. There's so much to this. So I wrote down all of the things here. This is what a calcified pineal gland looks like, or a half calcified pineal gland looks like. 3 steps to decalcifying, how to stop it. So getting rid of fluoride from your toothpaste, getting rid of all these different toxins from within your home. So looking at your ingredients on your list, you can go through that. How to remove existing calcification. So you can have raw apple cider vinegar, you can have more boron, you can have green superfoods, you can have certain mushrooms that are connected to it, chaga mushrooms, turmeric, there's all kinds of things, or even blue blocking lights and glasses will really support as well. And then ways to add to your pineal gland to increase its power is meditation, even doing DMT or increasing the DMT in your brain, entering certain brainwave music into. You can listen to brainwave musics and increase it by getting the vibration of the music. If you put on headphones, it'll actually move the pineal gland. It's shown in like this cute little video that I watched. It'll make it vibrate. It's pretty cool. And so it's kind of like the calcification falls off the pineal gland. Pretty cool. Here's more research for you. As you can tell, I put bullet points because the 39 in the last one freaked all of you out. I was like, 5 minute bullet points. Now you don't know how many there are. Okay, healing your shit. Who remembers doing the womb massage, learning about the womb bowl practice, the womb voice we already talked about, the womb gut connection? Who remembers this? Yes? So Trish, can you give me a rundown of the womb bowl?
Well, I've got it right next to my bed and it's full, and I released it today. And so I have it next to me as a chalice. Can you hear me? Because I've been,
yes.
Okay. So as just a daily ritual is when I'm going into my meditation, just to energetically release everything from my womb into the womb bowl. And then once a week or however often before it gets, I go and release it out, and I ask at the base of the tree, and I ask the tree and Mother Earth if they will allow me to release. And I even like swished out the rest of the remnants in the bowl too, just really, and honoring it. And so it's just releasing everything from my womb and all collectively, right? That I'm collectively healing, helping people heal. Quite magical.
Oof. Yes, perfect. Thank you. So we connect our own womb to the womb bowl space, like Trish said, and then we send the energy consciously. You can put your hands over the womb. You can send it energetically to the womb bowl if you have it slightly far away from you or in your altar space, whatever that looks like. But going up to it is a beautiful practice, and then releasing it every so often. Beautiful, Trish. Great job. Womb massage. Cassandra, Andrea, either of you remember what a womb massage is, what that feels like? What does that include?
I'm not sure if I was in this one, although I've done a womb massage. I remember doing a womb massage.
Okay. Yeah, we probably did it either in this one or even a beforehand one. You don't have to have any oils or anything on your hands, but I find it really enjoyable, especially for castor oil, where it's known to support your womb space, or any type of oils to just smoothen it out. And then you can give yourself a massage, so going over your womb space. Normally I start with the triangle and connecting to her, letting her know that I'm above her. And then I like to use my left hand to start, and I'll start from my belly button, and then I'll start doing this spiral outwards, letting her know that she can open up and that she's safe in a soft way. And then when I'm ready, I'll go inwards, back to the belly button area. And you can continue to do this spiral until you're ready to just start going into certain areas and pushing and seeing, okay, this feels a little odd right here, so I'm going to hold it. And then the womb massage practice turns into a womb releasing practice, which is also right here. By when you hold that spot, you can see if there's any memories or emotions that come up for you, and release it either into your womb bowl or connect your roots into Mother Earth and release it from there. And this is a great, when somebody isn't ready for a spiritual womb healing practice yet, they're not ready to jump into their womb space and go into the portal and connect to the cords and meet people in their womb. This is a great way to start them off, and getting them to just connect to their womb space and just feel and intuitively know where that pain came from, getting them to realize that their body is holding energy and emotions, and being able to see what's in their womb space is absolutely stunning and beautiful. The great first, that first call that I'll normally do with somebody tends to be a womb massage and a womb release practice with them. All right, so I'm going to start scrolling. Here we went through some of the womb dialogue practices again, and we saw what were your answers and what needed to be released this week in them. How the womb heart is connected. This is a Chinese Bao Mai uterus vessel, and how they found out in the body that it was there. Putting it all together of how our womb and heart are connected. There's that connection practice. So this is a beautiful practice that we did where we started with our hands in front of us, and then we put it into a triangle, and then we slowly moved it down, sort of breathing with it. And it's a beautiful meditation that you can do at any time. This particular practice, and we did another one in a future week called the womb heart I forgot what it was called at the moment. We'll find it and I'll be like, that's the one. These are great practices to do before you meet a client or before you do a womb healing on yourself, to be able to connect your womb and your heart together and awaken both of them and that highway in between, and release any of those blockages. Or if you see any of your clients and you just feel like there's a wall in front of them, you can even help them to go through womb heart connection practice and getting that highway to open up in front of them. So if you notice that they're underactive, they have an underactive second chakra, then you could do that practice and open it up a little bit. The womb voice practice, if they're quiet, they have trouble talking, if they don't know how to speak up or say no, they don't know how to do boundaries, it's a great thing to get them to do on a daily basis, or anytime you have a call with them or with yourself even, and just do the wah, wah, whoa, whoa, and practice opening up and allowing your cervix to open up as well. Womb gut connection, we talked about how irritable bowel syndromes and all kinds of gut issues is connected to our womb, and how they send information to each other, and how our serotonin is created in our gut. So getting a functional medicine doctor to support you and know what's happening in your womb, and checking in with your microbiome, especially if you're going to do a microbiome test. When you do it, your luteal phase, so that's the highest, that's when everything is flourishing, then you really know what's happening in your womb if you do a microbiome test in your luteal phase. And then you can heal from there. Then we did that clearing practice, which, so I guess you were here, Cassandra.
Yeah.
Here's that clearing practice. The womb cleanse and blessing. Here's that womb bowl practice with water. And I showed you girls a womb bowl practice with earth as well, and how to do that. We did a womb and vulva artwork, which was absolutely stunning. Kim's and Andrea's was beautiful. Week 6, we went deeper into what we did in week 5. So we took that goal dreams practice and we put it into with specific people, our family and our friends, and helped other people that were connected into our womb space, or even that we wanted to help heal, that are connected in our womb space. And we worked on that, and we saw maybe we didn't have to release all of the cords, but maybe certain cords. So I taught you girls how to do that and work on one cord at a time, seeing what needs to be released, and then add something in. Always make sure to add something in afterwards, because if not, then that's something else will take up. Kind of like, imagine you as B cords on you. all over the place. And if you remove something, then something else wants to enter into that USB cord. Okay, so you always want to be adding something consciously so that something unconsciously isn't created. We talked about womb bowls for your family. Does anybody remember this? Oh, Trish seems to be gone. Andrea, do you remember womb bowls for your? I wish Regina was here.
This is the week that I stopped for
Yeah,
the wedding.
cool. All right, so I'll say it. So for the womb bowls for family, we talked about having a womb bowl, yes, for yourself always, but if you have family members, what you can also do is have a womb bowl in your household, open up for your kids, for your husband, for whatever you'd like. And then with that womb bowl, if they have energy that needs to release, it's a beautiful practice, especially with kids, to have them put their hands over and let them release any anger or fear that they have into a beautiful womb space. That's the family's womb bowl. And it's just so beautiful. Like, I have a baby sister and she put her hands over the womb bowl and she put, close your eyes and really tight, and was like, and sending the energy. And then she was like, I feel so much better. So it was so nice to see. And now she has her own little womb bowl in her room where she sends energy and mom helps her put it out in the put it outside. And now she's connecting to Mother Earth more. And it's just so beautiful to see that connection within her, starting young, before she's even starting to bleed, and being able to release things so that's not being, again, think about it. Our womb doesn't start bleeding until puberty. And then it takes from 1 to 12 years old, we've already created ourselves. But what if you could learn to unlearn while the learning process is happening, while our womb is picking up all this stuff, so that when you're officially bleeding, you don't officially start unlearning now, right? So helping our kids and having them unlearn from a young age is so extremely important. And if you can do it with your husband or any men in the household, because again, men will send their energy to us all the time because they don't know how to connect to their own spiritual womb. So they'll send it to the physical womb that's around them. If you're the main woman in the household, you have a lot of shit going on in your womb. And I know people that their hormones are extremely low in their household because they have men in their household and they don't notice that they're sending all the energy to her one womb, and she's having difficulties handling it all. So if she has a womb bowl to help with that process, even if you are balanced right now and you don't particularly need help with it, you're like, I'm good. You can still have them and teach them and support them in doing this so that it stays that way. You want to stay healthy. You want to stay balanced. So teaching your family how to do a womb bowl practice and having them release whenever something's going on is extremely beautiful. If somebody's angry or anything like that around you, and especially if they're family or friends, you know them, you can, if you feel like, if you're an empath, which I want to say that all of us are, not to, I suspect. So if you're an empath and you feel the energy in your bubble, then it's entering your womb space, period. That is what's happening. It's entering your womb space. So instead of it getting stuck and starting to fill up your womb, what you can do is imagine in your head while someone's angry or going through an emotion, tilting it. And just imagine that the water is going through and dropping into down your roots into Mother Earth, and that she's helping the process of releasing this so that it doesn't stay within you. So a quick little practice of just or just sending it down your roots, breathing, and every exhale you bring it down and you support them by being that space of listening. It's extremely beautiful and strong. We talked about womb gatherings and sisterhood circles and what red tents and moon lodges are, and how story medicine is extremely important. What do we do in red tents and moon lodges? We get together, we share stories, we're releasing with each other. We're opening it up from it being in just one womb space to it being in a circle of 10 plus sisters, where it's being spread from our womb into other sisters' wombs as well, so that we can all help and release together. That's what's happening in a sisterhood circle, and it's so beautiful to watch. Here's that womb mandala practice that I was telling you about. So we did do it, which is awesome. We did a receiving practice with our sisters so that you can practice receiving energy from their heart to your womb. And then from your womb, you practice bringing it up to your heart and sending it back to their womb space. And we did this infinity sign between our sisters from heart, womb, womb, heart, heart, womb, womb, heart, heart, womb. We did this practice even online People were crying. It was beautiful. Great. Week 7, we started talking about healing Mother Earth. Trish, it seems like you're leaving. Okay, love you. Thanks for being here.
Love you, ladies. And yes, I've caught up on all the things. I've already done everything. I've been doing the mantra stuff and the womb, and so I've been doing it all. So I'm good to go.
Okay, cool. I'm going to send you a voice message later, okay, about the group circle. I don't know if you plan on joining.
What's that?
The group circling that we're going to be doing moving
Oh,
forward.
yeah. I want to watch the rest of this to hear more about that.
Okay, cool. Sounds like a plan.
Love you guys.
Bye. So week 7, we started talking about how healing Mother Earth is healing ourselves. And it's an equal equation. The healthier that Mother Earth is the healthier that we are. And we started talking about how Mother Earth is the divine feminine, as well as we connect to her womb. As soon as our placenta is removed from our own mother, it's replaced with a placenta that connects us to Mother Earth. And that's where placental healing comes in, and so on and so forth. And the way that we heal Mother Earth, the more we heal ourselves, is the best placental healing that I have found thus far into all of that. So we started getting into why Mother Earth and how Mother Earth even has her own ovaries in the flowers and even her own seeds. So she enters with feminine and masculine energy, how she is a creating force as well. And her name is Mother Earth. We went into how even mushrooms have cups and vulvas and roots that connect with each other, the mycelium, which the mycelium is 70% of a mushroom, and how we only know mushrooms as this, but it's really that connection that connects everything together. So if anything, mycelium is like the nervous system of Mother Earth. We talked about the importance of grounding and earthing ourselves with electrical charges, connecting to negative ions, and what that has to do with the difference between positive ions, which isn't actually positive, and how we're so, it maybe is positive, I don't know, but really the difference is that we have such high positive ions throughout our lives that we need more negative ions, and we get that from waterfalls that are flowing, from the winds that's hitting our faces, through the elements. So being able to connect those negative ions is really important. We talked about what paganism is. It's a word that when I was in Christianity, in, for example, the Bible or in even TV shows these days, they're like pagan, and it's something that's so disgraceful. But pagan really just means it's the first religion, and it's connection to Mother Earth. It's a nature-based connection. And they don't consider it a religion. People that are pagan do not consider it a religion. They can consider it to be nature-based, a nature-based connection. So definitely learn more about it. It's very interesting. I actually love paganism. Then we talked about ecofeminism. Ecofeminism is a specific, so think about the feminist movement as the big umbrella, and ecofeminism is a little umbrella underneath the big umbrella of a feminist movement. And it's thinking that between the oppression of nature, animals, and that there's a parallel between the oppression of nature, animals, and women, that what is happening to Mother Earth is happening to us. And there's ecofeminism books and articles that you can read, which are also in the resources for you, and to be able to see how the decrease of how men have treated women is around the same time period that they stopped taking care of Mother Earth, where the moment that they started to put flags on Mother Earth and say, this is my land, is when they started to put contracts on women and saying, this is my woman, and making us property. They made Mother Earth and women property around the same time periods of history, and how that is connected. So you can start to see these changes of how it's beautiful to see the history of how Mother Earth and femininity have been treated around the same time periods. The same time periods that Mother Earth was treated with love and respect is the same time periods that women were treated with love and respect. We talk about different ways to give back to Mother Earth. So the big one is the Hopi prophecy. Who remembers the Hopi prophecy? Andrea, do you remember? Or are you still working? Okay.
I do. You have it there anyways. But when all women give their blood back to Mother Earth, peace will come, men will come home from war, or something to that effect.
Correct. Yeah. And men will come home from war. So there's a Hopi prophecy. Hopi is a Native American tribe, a very popular Native American tribe. And they said that when all women give back their blood to the earth, there will be peace on earth. Men will come back from war and there will be peace on earth. I don't know about you, but global peace is on my radar, and that is my plan on this new earth. So, Hopi prophecy, here I come. And this is one of the main things that got me into menstrual cycles and womb healing and all these things. This is my ultimate goal for every woman to give back their blood to the earth every single month when they bleed. If you don't bleed, you can do the practice by getting hair. I'm sure you have a hairbrush or your hair falls off whenever you're combing it or doing it with your hands. You can find hair on the floor, I'm sure. You can go ahead and grab those and give them to Mother Earth as an offering. Same thing with your blood. You give her back as an offering. There's also despachos that you can do. There's seed cycling. There's also much. One of the things that I will mention is open tabs and Ecosia is a great way to give back to Mother Earth that really doesn't cost you anything. It's as easy as using Ecosia instead of Google. So it's a search platform, and Ecosia, every time you search something or every 3 times that you search something, then it plants a tree for you. Simple, easy. You're going to search something all the freaking time. There's an app on your phone and there's an app on your laptop and your computer. So it's just as simple as looking up Ecosia, downloading it, and then using it as your main Google search. Instead of Google, you use Ecosia. And then there's Open Tabs, which is a Google Chrome extension that you can do. And every time that you open up a tab, it's considered as 1/4 of planting a tree. So every 4 tabs that you open, a tree is planted in your honor. So it is a beautiful, I've planted, look, if I do open tabs right now, oh, it's not on, oh snap, it's not on my red tab one. Candace, I gotta do that. But I have planted over 1,000 trees in my personal Google Chrome on open tabs, and I've planted another 2,000 by searching things up every once in a while. So it's beautiful to know that I've been able to do that. And it also tells you how much carbon emission you're supporting as well, which is really cool. Triple womb connection, that was the name of it. So there's a womb heart connection, and then there's a triple womb connection, which we connect our womb to Earth, and then we connect it to the moon. So it's a beautiful practice where we took our hands, we did the same practice, bringing it down into the womb. Then we brought that same triangle down to Mother Earth, and then we brought it all the way up to the moon, back down to our hearts, and then did the practice all over again 13 times. So all of it's there, and the recording is there as well if you would like to see that. And it's a beautiful, stunning practice that really gets me in my heart. We sang together a beautiful song. We have all these beautiful resources. I've drank almost this whole thing. I'm going through this thing. All right. Week 8 was ancestral, and we talked a little bit about past lives and how all of this was connected. There is a theory out there that who here believes in oneness? Oneness. I believe Andrea does too. Yeah, so oneness is that everything is all one at the end of the day, that we all came from one source and that we're all coming back to one spot anyways. Like it's this whole circle cycle, right? So if that is true, there's a theory out there that every ancestry that we have had, all the past lives that we remember, is our ancestry. So it's beautiful to think that they are connected and that we have lived our ancestral lives, and that when we connect to ancestries, we're also connecting to possibly our own past lives, or we are connecting to our own past lives, considering the theory. So these two are very weaved together, and sometimes our ancestry might be ourselves. So it's a beautiful practice. We talked about placental healing and how the placenta and the tree of life look quite similar. So I have a beautiful picture here for you. We talked about what the tree of life symbol is and what it's for, and how it's a quite big symbol. Here's all the data for it. We talked about eating babies. So in the Old Testament, it starts talking about eating babies, and I talked about how that is an old term because the placenta and a baby were considered twins of each other. So, and eating babies was considered, mothers would eat the placenta after it was born. They would, I don't know if they would use a fork and knife. That's how I imagine it in my head. I can just imagine like this placenta just on a plate and then just having a fork and knife and just like cutting through this placenta. I'm sure that's not how it happened, but it just makes me laugh when I think about it. And eating babies comes back from eating this placenta, and the placenta has all these nutrients that is given to the baby and can be given back to the mother. And to this day, there's such thing as placental encapsulation that you can do after birth, where you can get the placenta, dry it, cut it into little pieces, powder it up, and put them in pill formats. And women, some women, it gives them flows of milk. For some women, they don't need it because they're getting more than enough milk, or maybe they can use it closer to the end of when their milk supply is drying up, and to kind of re-bring it back. Some will do it in the front end. You can figure that out for yourself if you ever want to try it out. But some midwives also teach this, and I know a lot of womb shamans also have learned placenta encapsulation to support anybody that may want to learn how to do that. And then there are some women that will even sell their placental encapsulation so that they don't particularly do it, but will give it to somebody else that would like to try it out, or another mother that didn't get to do it, didn't know there was a chance for that, and so on and so forth. And this is a big piece of placental healing, to be able to eat your own placenta that you created. There's all kinds of stuff about it. You can learn more about it, but it's so interesting because witches are known to eat babies. Lilith is known to eat babies, and in the Old Testament, there's things about eating babies. So it's not children, they're eating placentas, and it's a beautiful old practice that has been known for centuries, and it's coming back. So just wanted to bring that up. We talked about mtDNA and how mtDNA is only passed down from biological females, from female to female. A male will have mtDNA, but they will not pass it down to the other male. They have their own DNA that they pass down from man to man, but women have a specific DNA called the mtDNA. So if you ever do an ancestry test, you can actually see your women's lineage, and it's much easier to track in a female. And that's where there's a tree. So if you remember the meditation that we did throughout this week, where we connected to our ancestral tree, that tree of life. I love it's kind of like the placenta. Here we are again. This is why it connects all the time. And we ended up connecting to each of these branches that connect to different ancestry levels, and how we can meet our grandmother within our womb space as well. And we did that meditation, did that practice. We talked about the time that we are in our mother's womb and how it affects us. So I put all kinds of research here for you already written down on how the types of things that our mothers eat affects us, on how she consumes, how she exercises, how she is with her nervous system, can all affect us within the womb space, and how we're even what our grandmother does can affect us when we're born, because of the egg that was created and the nutrients, the health of the egg that we came from. So all of that is here for you. And here's the first 2 years of our lives is connected to our mother's nervous system. This is only a female trait. Men do not have this. The way that our mothers were the first 2 years of a female's life, that is completely connected to how our nervous system is for the rest of our own lives. We start watching our mother, and depending on how her nervous system is treated, we pick that stuff up. So there are things you can do to help with an overstimulated nervous system. There's all kinds of nervine tonics that are above in week 2 or 3-ish, which you can also go back up and look up nervine tonics in here and get all that data from to support. And you can also support any children or other clients as well with this kind of knowledge. But this is extremely strong. And even my own mom noticed how the way that her nervous system was with her first child, her second, and her third completely matches up with how we are today. And it was quite interesting to see my mom even realize that. I talked about how to find information about your ancestry. So we talked about some different ways of connecting internally within your womb space to meet your ancestry. We also talked about doing ancestral tests if you wanted to. We talked about how to search for public records or look up obituaries, asking your family members for it. If you're an orphan, there's still some more ways that you could do that, again, by checking inwards and so on and so forth. But we also talked about maybe you don't know people but you know places. So even if you do an ancestral test and you find out that you're from Ireland or something, or maybe you want to find out where you are to this day, maybe whatever that looks like for you. You could even learn, like, for example, right now I'm in Davenport, Florida. So I looked up what the plants and nature, what the history was of this land. And you could learn so much from there and start connecting with if there were any ancestries in this area, or even connecting to the Native Americans or anything like that that may be happening in this area. So it's quite beautiful to watch. And you can also, even if you don't know how to connect to your own ancestry, you can connect to the ancestry of females in general. So here's where I start talking about women's history and what we were the first in. We were the first cooks. We were the first to recognize and cultivate seeds. So we were the first agricultures. We were the first gardeners that reproduced food. We were the first shamans, the first yoga teachers, the first drummers, the first midwives, the first and only gatherers, the first healers and medicine women, the first storytellers and writers, the first artists, the first poets, the first mathematicians and calendar creators. So even if you don't know how to connect to your own ancestry, you can connect to women's history in general and know that at some point in you, this was created by your lineage. Here's that womb tree meditation that we did, creating your ancestral tree. So we started talking about creating a book of love and light, which once upon a time they've been called all kinds of different names, but the most popular ones is a grimoire or a book of shadows, a book of mirrors. And now the most common term for it is the book of love and light. And the book of love and light is a book that you can create with your own spiritual notes and your own awakening stories, your own diaries, your own spells and rituals, your own recipes, all of that information. And I highly recommend that a piece of this book is also your ancestry tree, or everything that you learn about history of women or anything like that. So if you do an ancestry tree, I broke down what's the most important from what I have found, these 4 little bullet points here, and different ideas of what you can add into your book of love and light. And even if you don't know how to connect your ancestry, you don't know how to look up women's history, you still have your own history that you can pass down, whether that means to your own child or to a niece or a nephew or somebody else that you just decide to give your book to in the future. It's so beautiful to be able to pass down the gift of someone's life to somebody else and say, this is everything I have learned in one spot. This is everything that has supported me in my journey, and I hope it supports you. And being able to pass that down, because once upon a time, everybody, not everybody, but most people would have something from their ancestry to be given, passed down to them. And what's better than a book with love and light being given to somebody else and saying, here, have this, this is everything. So that's something I definitely want to do in our group circle, and creating this book of love and light. And hopefully this Google Doc is something that you can copy paste in there yourself if you want to. Again, like, this is something that I created, but it's for all of us and for our future daughters and sons and so on and so forth, that they can learn about females and about themselves possibly. Then I went into some more beautiful practices, like how weaving has been a part of our history throughout time, and how I started talking about how through the Nordics, the Native Americans, the Greeks, even the American flag was weaved by a woman, and how weaving has been a big portion of history. And there was a book that was called The Wording, like WYRD, that I read that really connected me with weaving. And now every time I weave, it's a conscious practice of weaving my own thread of destiny. And it's something that a lot of women during their bleeding time period throughout history, when they would bleed, they would weave in what their story of their lives would be like, what their dreams were, what their goals were, what their destiny was going to be for that lifetime, into the towels that they would use, that they would bleed on throughout their menstrual cycle. Or they would, some of them did skirts, a lot of crones would end up weaving their stories of their past into their beautiful dresses. And that's what they would wear in the tribe. And it's just so beautiful to see how weaving and embroidery has been a part of telling our stories and putting that into action. So that is another beautiful practice that you can pick up or even do. We talked about red shawls and red scarves. This might go a little bit over, girls. We're almost there. but just in case, maybe another 10, 15 minutes afterwards. I don't know if you guys have a time crunch, but just want to let you know. You're good? Okay, cool. So red shawls and red scarves, I have the color red, has to do with women in general, with blood, right? Our own menstrual blood, but also it was a sign of a witch throughout time. It was also the rebozo in particular was known as a womb shawl, and midwives would use a rebozo. Let me actually click on this because I think it has pictures. So rebozo was something that was used to carry children in the field while they were picking up seeds or going out. It was also something that a way to carry your child as well as create space. So if your womb felt quite heavy while you had to walk around and continue to do things, they had a certain way to support the womb so that it kind of picked it up and it wouldn't hurt your back as much. There's also a way to connect to the rebozo. Oh no, some pictures are not working. Yeah, so during labor, she would use the shawl to hang from, to pull on. Her birth attendants would have used it to provide comfort measures, shifting, rocking, shaking, wrapping. There would be a certain thing that midwives would do to hold up the womb and kind of tell the baby that it's time to come out even. There's all kinds of different practices with rebozos that is absolutely beautiful that you can read in this article. And in general, shawls and scarves have been a big part of women, and wearing a robe or a cape or something like that, a scarlet cape, a scarlet robe, the red lady are all part of women's history, and you can learn all about it. Witchcraft and being a bruja, also huge part of being a woman. And again, this is the enchantress right here. This is the feminine magic at its core. And I have some research on that, much deeper into it. We also talked about ancient menstrual and sexual rituals and practices that were found throughout German history, Celtic history, Hawaiian history, the Hopi prophecy, all the different ones, how taboo and what it meant in the beginning, which meant sacred powers or profane use of the crazy stuff that I have written down here, and some very yummy stuff. We talked about how to release. If you ever feel energy, which did happen to one of us, where you feel something in your womb space or you feel energy and you're like, this isn't mine, and you don't know where it's coming from, whether it's your family, your friends, or your ancestry, you can still release it from, whether it's using your womb bowl as a little practice and tilting it over and just saying like, I don't need this anymore. We also talked about the importance of singing as a way to connecting to your grandmothers and connecting to your ancestry. Finally, we're at week 9. We're almost there. So for week 9, we talked about we did a womb connection with all of us together, which was a beautiful practice, connecting our womb spaces and thanking each other for support and healing throughout this process and being the circle that we were. Then we talked about how to connect our womb to the world. So after we've done all the stuff of supporting our clients and supporting ourselves and all the things, you can also use your womb to connect to the world's womb and send a visualization, kind of like a blanket. You know how we do the womb sanctuary practice where we open our bubble a little bit to create a womb sanctuary space with ourselves? But we could do that with the womb, with the world. I apologize. We can do that with the world and open up our womb space to take up the whole world, bring it all back in, and then release it through us to kind of do an energetic global healing. So if there's a meditation that you'd like to do and connect and heal the world with some kind of certain energy, this is a beautiful way to do that. All right, so week 10 was mainly showing you girls some of this. We had a lot of questions, I believe, in week 10. We did connect to the womb tree meditation, which also connects us back to our ancestry and connecting to the tree of life that's within our womb space. And we did some preparations of how to do before you do a womb healing or before you do a womb client, and how to prepare yourself for that space. I also taught the Earth Heart Yoni practice, which this is the mudra for the yoni, and you can kind of send your own yoni some love by breathing or saying something to your yoni, by doing the mudra. And throughout a sisterhood circle, if we were on front of each other, I had you girls imagine as if my breath was your breath. And we did a breathing practice within our yoni, sending love and healing into her. And then we didn't get to do this, but in the future, at some point, I hope to do a retreat where we can all wear skirts, because there is an ancient Anashrima, it's hard for me to say it, Anashrima ritual, which is an old Egyptian practice of skirt lifting, where women would dance and sing, and throughout time, they would pretty much show each other their vulvas and be like, hey, girlfriends, to each other. And it was a beautiful practice to just release out their divine feminine energy and dance out their joy. So we ended it with knowing about that, and then we talked about some future add-ons that I definitely would like to add, but did not get to throughout this. Here's some more research. I have this womb client link. These are different things. These are different books that I recommend. These are things that we'll probably end up putting together. These are different links that I have. So, and I talk about what it does here for you. These are things that almost every one of my clients, I'll give them this little list so that they can have, and they can slowly but surely, I'll take them through each one of them, and getting their own menstrual underwear, buying a castor oil pack, getting specific herbs for them, whatever that looks like. So that's there for you. This is the podcast, and she's absolutely amazing. And a lot of you'll see when you go through the resources, if you ever do go through the resources, that I mention a lot of her specific episodes throughout the resources. This is Womb Blessing music, and we also have the Womb Awakening article that's written by, is it Azranda? Her name's not in here at the moment, but she teaches an amazing womb practice, and she has 2 books, which I definitely want to go through with you girls. She talks about what is womb awakening and what is womb shaman. Here's the black hole all over again. And she has some great information. She goes really deep into research as well. Here's some more books for you. And this is extras. We didn't get to go through this, but at some point when if you girls ever decide to become priestesses and want to do your astral temple, there is a womb room that you can create in your astral temple in the spiritual realm. And it is an absolutely beautiful practice to do, to be able to connect to the 4 elements within your womb astral temple and be able to do that. So that's there for you if you ever want to try it out or learn more about it. And then this is some extra stuff that we didn't get to add. I didn't get to add into the course, but I wanted to keep here for you, because there are a lot of questions about what is perimenopause and what's happening. And then just a little bit extra information on eating seasonally. And that is the whole document. So with that, I will come back to you girls. And that was everything for all of the weeks that we went through. Cassandra, I'm sure that was a lot for you. How are you feeling after hearing all of that?
I'm excited to listen to them and go through the practices and go through the weeks that I missed, which is like 4.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
Cool. Perfect. And then Andrea, you've been to almost all of them, I think. I don't think you missed one. So I wanted to check in with you on how much did you remember from all of this?
That's the other question, right? I think the base is there, but yes, it definitely does require, or I shouldn't say require, I want to keep it top of mind. I'm waiting for my womb, like a calendar with the cycles. I got that cycles one that you initially recommended. I got it on sale and I wanted to use it for the rest of this year, but it's been delayed.
It takes some time.
Next year I have the one from Lisa Lister. I already got, and that one's so cool. And it's the where I am with things that's still like, I'm still trying to remember that. So I think having, maybe it's an excuse or not delaying when I actually start, but when I have that calendar, I feel like it'll be much easier just to have that presence in mind. And I want to add in like the nut recommendations, and I want to be more focused on mindful eating in conjunction with the cycle and what works for me.
Mhm.
So I'm excited for that. And then I wanted to share this. It just popped in my head just this week, and I was like, wow. And it's probably stuff is out there on it, but it never hit me before. For the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, where's the mother? They took
The
they
Holy Spirit is the mother.
huh?
The Holy Spirit is the mother.
I know, but I'm just saying they took that name out. Like I know Sophia, but I mean they took that name out completely.
Mhm.
So that was like
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a biggie. Thank you for bringing that back up. Something that I would definitely love to add into our Google Docs. So if you find that article and want to add a little note in there, please do.
what article? Sorry.
If you have an article or something that you find about it, because I know you're gonna do more research on the Holy Trinity and where the Holy Spirit is and all that jazz. So when you do find some stuff about it, either send it to me or put it in the Google Doc yourself. That would be absolutely epic. I know you'll find a whole other spiral of things than I have. And if you can help me with the Google Doc, that would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a book on Sophia that I think that you had recommended.
Yeah, it's in there.
But it's in my stack of books I have not yet read.
Yeah. By the one by Trisha McCannon,
Yeah.
Divine Sophia. I forgot the name of the whole book right now, but Trisha McCannon is absolutely amazing. That word will change your life. Well, you know what? You've learned a lot of it through me and other things, but that book is still absolutely amazing. Just saying. Definitely.
And then another book recommendation, I can't remember if I put it in the chat, but I was thankful for Amazon actually. They recommended a book, Women Were the First Drummers, When Women Were the First Drummers or something like that. And that like jumped out at me. Like I've attended drum circles in the past and I've always kind of joked, I'm the dancer, I'm not necessarily the drummer. But since that event that Claudia had, like stuff keeps coming. So that's my next, like, I want to drum now.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yes, definitely. I have a com drum that me and my husband do whenever it's date night. Well, not whenever, but some date nights we get a com drum and we'll like do a thing. And he says every time I do a com drum session for him, he'll go into a whole other world. Like I am a shaman when you com drum. So it's so cool to be able to connect like that and call in my ancestry and be like, so yeah, definitely feel that. I would love that book. That book sounds awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So any questions for me, ladies, on any of this? Any of this, like it was a lot. Anything you want to learn more about, and then you definitely like drumming, with the Sophia and Holy Spirit.
I think I should watch the other ones and kind of have the whole full picture, and then I'm sure I'll have questions at that point, but not right at this moment.
Okay, cool. So Cassandra, you haven't finished the replays yet. So when you do, please let me know, and then we can either get in a group circle call, or we can do a quick call, or we can do a voice message, whatever works, so that I know that you have the information. I handle any of your questions, and then I can officially give you the certification. I already have it made for you, and it's just sitting there. Okay. Okay, cool. Andrea, I know you got yours, and Claudia, I sent you yours because I know that you've finished all the recordings. So it is.
Perfect, thank you. I actually have a question. Do you have, I know you've mentioned like where to start, like the womb dialogue when you get a new client, but I was wondering if you had kind of like you can kind of share with us like, okay, this is what I usually do on the first session, and then on the second, and then the third, like if you have kind of like an idea of like a format that you follow, or it's very intuitive and you just do it based on what they show up in that day.
Yeah. So I will definitely, depending on, okay, if I know that they signed up for one session alone, just one session to begin with, I'll guide them with the womb massage practice and getting them to connect to their womb to start with. And normally it's after the first session that maybe they'll start to come with me with a certain problem. So then we might be able to do a deep dive where we do a womb cord cut practice. If they know officially can feel and get into their womb portal, go through their womb portal. And if you can do that successfully, then we can do the womb cord cutting practice. And it tends to be quite easy practice. But I don't normally do that on the first one. It's their womb hasn't been activated. It hasn't awakened yet. So we start to awaken it in the first session by doing a womb massage practice and just letting her know that we're becoming aware of her. And I'll guide them through ways of how to support their womb with maybe here's some herbs that I recommend, or I recommend you buy these crystals. I recommend that you do these womb massages. I recommend you do some tracking, and just getting them to be aware of their womb in that first session if there's only going to be one. If they sign up for a whole thing of 6 months, 12 months, they're willing to do this big thing with me and they really want to go through a big thing, then I might start with them off with the womb massage, but I'll give them the homework, or we'll do the practice together, the second session of the womb dialogue practice. And that depending on the client and what I know about them, like if they've been through any type of rape or anything big, if uncles, fathers, anything, I will be there with them when they do the womb dialogue practice so that I can help heal. And I'll ask them the question and then I will personally type it up. If they feel a little more comfortable, I don't have a big thing in their life, then if they want to do it by themselves, they can. And some women are extroverted or need that support. Like I'll give them the homework and then they won't do it. Then I will do it with them on that second session. And then during that womb dialogue practice, I need to see that as the facilitator to be able to see what is it that needs to be worked on the most, or where is this affecting their life now? And then from there, we can kind of see like maybe a wheel of life, or checking with their womb dialogue practice if this is really affecting me. Normally they'll know, and then we'll do practices to start healing that. But for sure, if they're not going to do this big session with me and we don't have biweekly or monthly calls, then I will start them off with just how to support their womb and how to awaken it in general. I don't want to give them this huge cord cutting on that first session of meeting their womb and then leave them. Normally there's some integration that needs to happen afterwards. And I want to make sure that happens. So yeah, does that help?
Very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and this is the whole reason why I want to do the group circle, because I want to make sure that if you girls, like, I want you to feel comfortable. And when you get a womb client, maybe it's that first time. Like for example, in person is a little bit different than online. If it's in person, I will personally give them a womb massage. Like either I will ask them, either you can do the womb massage yourself, or I can do it. And it's extremely strong and powerful for them to be able to relax fully, not have to move a muscle, and me being able to go over their womb space and see, okay, I feel something here, and go deeper. What is going on within you, and doing that practice and connecting to their womb space, doing some Reiki, doing some symbols that I know for womb mudras. I didn't get into symbols here. I know we'll get into symbols in a group circle. It'll happen. It's a future class. It'll come. But there's all kinds of stuff that you can do for that too. And I know some of you are Reiki masters and stuff anyways, so that works too. And yeah, so in person, I can go a little deeper with them. Sometimes I've gone quite deep in that first one. For example, maybe if I'm in a plant ceremony and then I know that they need some more guidance during that plant ceremony, I can do a womb healing while in that plant ceremony and go quite deep with them, because they're already in such a deep space with their heart open. Especially if they've known about my work beforehand, then their womb is asking for it. So it depends intuitively, but most of the time I'll start easy with them. If they're just coming to me with like, I don't know what womb healing is, I'll start easy with them. Okay, so with that said, we're good to go. I already sent out the certification I needed to, and we're good with that. So for the group circle calls, so I had to think, because as you girls know, on January, I'm leaving to Mexico, and I don't know what my life is going to be like after that first month, after that Airbnb. Like, no, there's no plans after that first month having that Airbnb at the moment. So it's all up in the air. And I do know that I have to set up during the full moon time period, because I do have the full moon class that I teach for the Red Tank Goddess Sisterhood. So I was thinking that I can definitely do either the Friday beforehand or the Friday after that time period, because I'm gonna need a place and I'm gonna need good Wi-Fi, and we're gonna be set. So for that week of that Tuesday where I had the full moon event, I can definitely do a class that Friday after the full moon event. So the next full moon event is November 8th. And then the Friday, or I think it's November 8th. Andrea, you're staring at a calendar. Help me out.
Yep, you got it right. Full moon on the 8th.
Okay, cool. So Friday is November 11th, correct?
11/11 too. Yes.
Yes, 11/11. So I don't even, every time I create one of these days, it's like perfect timing. So November 11th will be the first group circle call. And that will be, I will let you girls know each call that happens on what the next call will be like. But if you're in the Red Tent Goddess and you have the new moon event on there, I can also set it up on Mighty Networks for you girls and just put it all in there for you. So let me know. And that one is a for sure thing. So I'm going to commit to one group call a month. And then of course we're going to have a chat for the group circle. It'll be different than the womb shaman one that we have now, because my hope is to open this up to sisters that didn't get to take the womb shaman program and for a slightly higher price. And I want them to be able to have a DIY version of the course, as well as go through the program with us in a year basis. Just because I know that there's some sisters in the Red Tent Goddess Sisterhood that are like, please, like they specifically messaged me and said, when's your next womb shaman program? Like, I'm ready now. And I want to honor that. So if you girls don't mind, there will be some newbies. And I think it'll be really nice to have a good flow with new people and energy and all that jazz in it. But I do have a specific price point that I have for you girls. That is for the ones that have taken the course. And this is more of like a continuation. And I have a price point for them that it's they're taking the whole course with us as well. So I think it'll be beautiful. We will have support sisters again, because you girls saw how beautiful that practice was, to be able to practice throughout it. And if everything works out, Goddess, help me out here. If everything works out, I want to be able to open up some extra calls throughout the month and maybe do it bi-weekly if I'm set up with a nice Airbnb and internet's going great and I'm feeling great. Now, the thing with bi-weekly is that if I do it during the full moon, and right now I'm beginning with the new moon, that means I might be bleeding during our call. So it might not be like perfectly bi-weekly. It might be like 2 Fridays after each other. So it could be my follicular and ovulation time periods. You can get the most from me. And then I'm not like down and out and I don't care to see people and I'm wearing a hood and sweatpants. Okay. So I'll check in with you girls, but one call for sure is happening. And then every so often, my plan and goal is to have a second one. Now, if somebody else wants to be a host for that second one and wants to be like, I've got questions, or I want to facilitate a sharing circle for everybody, then we could also do that. But at the moment, that's what I have planned. Now, I will have the course, of course, because I have to create a whole idea of what the year is gonna like. I say year because I'll plan the first year first, but we might do this for who knows how long. But I want to make sure that we go through the process of spending time in week 1 and then looking up the Bhagavad Gita yourself on Google or Ecosia, so we can save some trees along the way, and looking up what is the meaning of Bhagavad Gita so you can see it yourself. And where is womb mentioned in the Tao Te Ching? And in Hindu, where does the womb mention? What does the cosmic egg look like? I want you girls to get in and feel this energy and learn it for yourselves compared to just learning it from me. And then I want to read some books together and we'll go through the books like, okay, where are you in the book? We'll pick certain chapters that we'll read together before the next call. We'll check in with each other on the signal groups. We're going to do all the things, okay? And as mentioned, I want to make sure that if you girls have any questions for your womb clients, that you have space for me. So there is 24/7 texting that you could do with me on Signal, be able to message me like, hey, this is happening, voice messages, good to go. And my one-on-one call price is normally $111, but I decided that I'm going to keep it for you girls, whoever joins the group circle practice, for $55 for one-on-one calls. So if you need anything while and during the monthly calls, you can also get one-on-one call with me and go deeper in something personal, or have certain questions that you might not want to share with somebody else, or maybe not take up the 2 hours because you know it's going to for that day. Whatever that looks like for you, you have that opportunity as well. With that said, my plan is for you girls for it to be $22 per month. Mira, like super cheap. I broke it down so that it's super simple for you girls to be able to have that call and be able to like the one of the first things we're going to be doing is tracking. So Andrea, you're not waiting for that cycle journal. Like I'm going to be giving you a tracker to start with and having you create it by hand. And like it'll be all messy to start, but getting you to practice of what it's like to track cycles so you can teach others. And I will be treating all of you like a client so that you girls can experience what that is like for others and going through the process as well as with the course. So I think it'll be extremely strong for you girls. So $22 per month is my goal for that. Now, the first call is November 11th. So I'm going to be doing $22 for anyone that signs up before November 11th. And then if anybody decides to join afterwards, for whatever reason, it'll be $33 for you girls. For anyone else that did not join the Womb Shaman program, it's going to be, I'm going to give them the option between $55 to $77, and they can decide themselves on what price point they'd like to do. So you girls are getting a $30, $33 cut practically because you girls have already paid for the program and you're deciding to go further. So that is my plan. And if anybody needs a particular scholarship or has questions on the thing, they really want to join and the money's still an issue for them. This is the price point that feels right to me. But if it doesn't feel right to you, reach out. This isn't about me making money on it. It's about me feeling comfortable with the price point that felt good to me, still honoring you girls. And I want everybody to join. So if there's any certain issue, reach out to me and we can work more. And if you want to pay me more, that's okay too, by the way. You can totally pay me more. I won't get mad at that either. Okay, so open, and that's what I came up with. So with that said, I'll put the link in the chat and I'll leave it open to you girls to either decide if you girls want to leave or if you girls have any questions, you girls can officially do that.
I have to get going. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, on the 11th, do you have a time yet?
So it'll be Friday 3 to 5 because it worked out for all of us. And
Right.
we do have some sisters in the UK. So yes.
Thank you.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye. All right, Andrea. Are you
Hi.
leaving? Staying?
I was gonna look at this. Is this the link for payment plan?
Oh,
then, or
oopsie. Sorry, hold on. It got sent to a Notion. Let me click on that and I'll send you the PayPal plan.
okay.
I had it saved in a Notion.
What is a Notion?
Andrea, you're gonna love Notion.
Oh no.
Okay. Do you know what an asana or Trello is?
No.
Look up Notion like right now. You in particular are going to fall in love with this. I'm quite
Is it
surprised.
like OneNote?
It's so much better. But yeah,
Oh my god. I had a feeling this was gonna blow my mind just by
this
your
is
reaction.
gonna blow your mind. Yeah,
Um,
Notion is where my life is. So my book list, my recipes, my book of shadows or book of love and light, my work is connected to there, my everything, task list. In it, you can make it so aesthetically beautiful and it's free. It's completely free. And it's just an amazing app. Like I'm in love. So I didn't mean to go off on Notion, but like it's gonna change your
That's
life.
good to know. That's actually really timely because as you know, the event is coming up, like we were talking about how we can be more organized. Like I'm an organized person, but I know we were kind of all over the place. So that's something I'll definitely look into for that.
Oh yeah. So you can save all
Um,
your practices and everything in it. You're gonna love it. And there's templates. So you can look up Notion templates and have it all there too.
Yay.
I officially put the PayPal link. My apologies.
Okay, good.
It was meant to happen. You had to know about Notion.
Exactly. Okay, yeah, I will definitely do that. I think honestly, I will see about even bringing, well, I know I want to bring up Red Tent at my event. I've been plugging it a lot every time I talk about my group, like this is where the idea came from, obviously. So that's good to know that you're opening this up to other people.
Oh,
to-
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be so cool. I'm totally willing to give you an affiliate program or something too. Like we can have a conversation about it. Or maybe if you get like 2 people in, yours could be free. Like we can totally have a conversation what that would look like. Will you paste the link on Signal? Yes, I will paste the link on Signal when I finish here.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I referred. There's been, yeah, at least 2 people that I know that I know have joined that I've talked about. Patricia Alton, she's actually who I learned Reiki from here. And I try to connect her and your mom because she's part of the Crone Circle. I think I told you guys about.
The purple tent. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then Crystal, the one that's holding space where we're at for the red tent, she joined actually too. So at least I have 2, if not more.
All right, cool. Rock on. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And
Yeah,
I
I'm
definitely have plans. I've already started, my head starting to spin with ideas on how I want this to look like. And at the same time, allowing the feminine flow of let's see how this really goes. But I'm pretty excited about it.
good. And
Yeah.
then what was the other thing? Another sidebar was you're going to Zen Awakening?
Yes. Yes, I'm not also going, this is totally being recorded. So I love you, girl. I'm gonna, you can stay, Andrea, but I love you girls for the recording. And if you need anything, you can message me on Signal. Mwah, mwah, mwah.